key issue in 17, how do we continue to get, and this is what I've learned the last 8 years of practicing law, most of our families are still struggling to pay the bills and make ends meet. It's the leading cause of domestic strife in the household. And how can we get it back to where more families can make it with one person working outside the household? That would be ideal. And so how are we going to continue to create economic opportunities in District 17? District 17 has a lot of great things going for it. But how are we going to give those families an opportunity to keep one parent at home, to help give those kids a chance? You know, the schools can't do it by themselves, so we've got to have that parent helping at home with them too. And I'm excited about working on that. That's what we've been doing for the last 8 years. I've seen several businesses through with my law practice that have started from scratch that are now employing 50 and 100 employees. They've done that in 8 years. And I think there's similar opportunities available in 17 to get people to work.
Well, the number one problem in our district is jobs. Just as we talked about in the last question, we've got to come up with a way to develop the workforce and develop the opportunities for the workforce. Along the lines of what I was just talking about a minute ago, developing those interchanges on I-65. We have 9 of them, as I mentioned. 4 of them are fairly well developed, although not completely developed. And those communities have great jobs. They have great opportunities to own businesses, and the spinoff from the little cluster of businesses that started an interchange spreads out into the community. We're talking about Fultondale, we're talking about Gardendale. Those kinds of opportunities exist up there. Now when we talk about Blount County, they really need to have the opportunity to get their jobs going at those interchanges, as well as the interchanges that are being developed in the Northern Bypass. Trussville has its own interchanges, by the way, on certain interstates. And along those lines, we need to have a great education system that supports the job opportunities that we've heard that we need to develop.
Well, the number one issue is jobs. Being a real estate agent, it's the economy. I've sat down with numerous families all over the district. I've sold houses in Jefferson County, Blount County, St. Clair County. When you sit down at the kitchen table, people are hurting. You know, that they're having to downsize or lose their home, worst case scenario. So the economy, I'm excited about the Northern Beltline, the opportunities that that's going to bring. We've got to prepare our area for the growth and everything that's coming. We have to do a better job of educating our kids and getting them ready, preparing them for the future, to be able to enter the workforce and be a productive citizen. So that's my number one goal.
Well, I agree with most everything that's been said on the panel, but one thing that we haven't addressed is the disenfranchisement of people. There's a great number of people in our district who feel like they don't have an opportunity. We have to capture those kids when they're in school and have programs set aside to help them understand that you can do better than those that came before you. You can achieve, you can reach. I grew up in a very small neighborhood in Fultondale, and by all practical means, we were not a wealthy family. We were below middle class. The truth is, I never knew that. My parents didn't, everything that we did, I never knew that we were quote unquote poor. And I never had any idea that I couldn't achieve more, but we have a growing number of kids in our communities all over that have absolutely no aspirations that they can be anything more than what they have today. We need to reach those kids, and I think that is probably the biggest problem we actually have in our area. Jobs and everything else ties to it, but reaching those kids is important.
I'd like to pull all these things together on a positive note. We have everything in place. Alabama is a very fine state. We have all the resources needed. For example, we have and have invested in the finest technical schools, the finest junior colleges, and we've invested in wonderful teachers who have been trained. What we need to do more of, and what I think is being done, and that is through the model of Go Build Alabama, we need to bring industry closer to the education field. So through that collaboration, we then can continue a model that's currently supported by Governor Bentley that will ensure current workforce and a future workforce to new industries coming in. It really is that simple. Tap your resources, collaboration. We have it.
There's almost no separation, so education is what we're going to have to focus on to truly enhance the economy and create the jobs. And by doing things, common sense things like dual enrollment programs where high school kids can also be enrolled in junior college at the same time and get that credit, and in essence get a 2-year degree. And at that point, if they choose to go to a 4-year school, those credits apply and transfer toward the 4-year education. But we've got to have as much creativity and flexibility in education. And again, I think the math initiative is extremely important. If we direct and push that as hard as we push the Alabama Reading Initiative, I think that we're going to be very successful and our future will be good.
I'm going to answer this question from the feedback from the folks I've actually talked to in the district. And that is, how can we get government out of their lives punitively? And inside of that means so many things to so many different people. But for me, that means, one, we have almost 50,000 jobs tied to Alabama's energy sector. And if we allow radical environmentalism to come in and kill those 50,000 jobs, there goes Birmingham's major source of economic stability. Also, how can people have more control over their educational choices as a parent and as a teacher? That's the things I'm going to work on as state senator. That's coming from the voices that I've talked to. So I would say definitely how to keep limited, efficient government and at the same time making it maximized for the benefit of the public.